currently stood in Scotland Farm, Dry Drayton, Cambridge, just drilling oilseed rape. Glyn's behind me with a 12-metre bore sprinter drill and a Cat Challenger. We're at home farm where the family bought in 1950, and fourth generation bought it, never farmed. Third generation was a farmer, gave up practicing being a doctor, became a farmer, and my father, which is the second son, became the farmer, then myself. In fact, I've had 3 daughters, so it's likely the name Peck will die out with me. The farming now comprises 12,500 acres, 12 Arctic lorries, grain storage of about 88,000 tonnes, colour sorter doing about 30,000 tonnes a year of cleaning grain in the grain hospital, which I'll show you. We're combining currently. It's the 11th of August 2023. That is the main farm. That's where the grain storage is. Solar panels, you can see they turn with the sun like sunflowers. Creates a 34% more efficiency. They were the first in the UK to be put in. I came across them on my Nuffield travels in America, at Gettysburg, where the famous Civil War battle was between the North and the South. Saw one there, came back, found the company in Germany which manufactured them and had them installed. And South Cambs District Council were keen to support me, putting in renewable energy in 2010 as one of the first big schemes of that time. And that's powering about 30% of the grain store. It was powering 60 before we put in the grain hospital, and then that absorbs a huge amount of energy. So it's been a tricky harvest so far. We're just putting oilseed rape in, which is effectively the yellow flour. Rest of the world calls it canola, and it's used crushed, and it's used in the paint industry, it's used in biodiesel, and it's used also for oils for cooking, etc. So part of the one sort of 6 crops that we grow across the farm. You can see now this Challenger coming towards us is new, would probably be nearly £400,000. The drill would probably be nearly £200,000. So effectively you've got, I'm moving out the way so we don't get driven into. You've got about £600,000 coming up and down the field, and that's just one item of machinery. That's the sort of the main part of farming. Per 1,000 acres, we want about 1.25 million in cash flow terms to be able to run the farm, not only for growing crops but also for running machinery and staff, etc. So it's a very cash flow hungry business with scale, and that can be one of the limitations of getting a foot on the ladder. That's without even buying land. Land currently in this area is worth about 16,000 an acre, which we farm and own about 1,800 acres, and then the, as I said, 12,500 acres, which is for 27 different families, and we're operating in about nearly 40 different villages up and down the sort of Grantham, Cambridge, Bedford, Hertfordshire area, and just touching into Suffolk. So we've got a great workforce of people, up to 48 members of staff, which are on a number of different contracts, but principally you've got about 32 which are full-time, and then the rest are either self-employed who come in to help, or are casuals which may come in for 2 months to help with the harvest, which is great because it brings young, enthusiastic people in, brings a bit of energy and vibrance, which helps us. Being a seasonal business, we've got a sort of high workloads and short workloads. So there you are, you can see the Challenger going past. There's a Cat engine, predominantly was actually built by Caterpillar on rubber tracks. So the technology on it's using Dutch industry coulters, and they're going in about 1 inch, putting oilseed rape seed, which is tiny, really tiny seeds, which is extraordinary when you see that the crop, it can be as much as 6 meters high. Okay, so we're just driving around the outside of the fields so that we can get around to where the combine is. There's 4 combine harvesters going down to where Kieran is on combine 2. Slight correction, I noticed earlier, it's 6 foot tall, not 6 meters tall, the Orseed rape, but that's the problem with agriculture. We talk in imperial and metric, but generally in the same sentence, which isn't very helpful, and that's because there's different generations of people in farming who are either on imperial or they're a metric baby. So generally speaking, we talk imperial when we talk about acres as opposed to hectares, and the main reason for that is because there's more acres than hectares, so it sounds bigger. So that we always like to talk in acres here in England, because it sounds like the farming business is bigger. But as we're driving towards this combine, it looks to be as if it's broken down, so you'll see in a second that there's a hair in the way. But we've also got a chaser bin which takes the grain from the combine and then takes it back to the lorries. We've got 12 Arctic lorries which are working on harvest, taking the grain away. And oh, he's off. That's good. Right. Okay. Here's Josh, second year back, which is helpful. So in principle, what the combine does is it takes the corn up the front. This is winter wheat, Skyfall, it's a bearded variety, and taking it into the combine, it's separating it out, and the small seeds then put in the tank at the top, and then the long auger comes out and it will load the chaser bin up, and then the residue, which is the straw, etc., is then chopped up and is blown out the back, or you put it in a line and then you bale it, which means you put it into these square briquettes, and then you normally use for livestock or yourself for power station. You can see the combine there's on the track, and that's so it floats across the soil. The unique thing about our business is we do controlled traffic farming, which effectively is a bit like railway tracks up and down the field. So you can see here, that's the previous wheeling of the combine. Everything will drive on there, the drill, the cultivators, the sprayers, anything with a steering wheel will drive on those lines and not in between. So the soil, the idea is untouched, one for a better word, from compaction of heavy weight. And I learnt this on my Nuffield scholarship when I travelled around the world, and I came back to the UK and presented this as an idea, how we could take British agriculture forward. And the concept is effectively use 13% less diesel from standard farming, and you'll have an 18% yield increase because you don't have the compacted area in the field. Standard farming before this, I was compacting 86% of the land. Now I'm compacting about 12%, 13%, and that's what we're chasing. And effectively, I got invited to meet. I went to Buckingham Palace and I met the royal family, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh, and about 5 or 6 other royal family members, and to talk to them about the idea and the concept. So Kieran is on number 2. As I said, there's 4 combines, and then each combine has its own chaser bin. They're all numbered, so they work in teams. So they'll have their own chaser bin driver, their own guy on the tractor, etc. Then the lorries will go wherever's needed. They'll go to different places, but typically they'll stay in a team together. All the combines are back now in Cambridge. We've been up in Lincolnshire. It's a 5-hour drive up to Lincolnshire to go up the A1, etc. And then we've got some accommodation up there which the guys stay in to try and maximize on efficiencies. So hopefully in a moment we'll see Josh come and you'll see the unloading process. You can see my my dog, which is Flynn, which is my Jack Russell. That's where he likes to hang out when we're going up and down the field. I only have to wear this blasted seatbelt because this new car beeps at me terribly, whereas the last one it was disconnected. Okay, so it's very dusty, the back of the combine, so I'm keeping my distance, but anyway, you can just see the chaser bin now coming up the field. It's going to swing round the back of the combine, and that chaser bin will take about 28 tonne. A lorry takes about 30. So you can see him now, he'll come under that spout in a second. You can just see the top of the combine is just starting to get quite full. You can see the yellow appearing in the top, which is the wheat. And there you go. So all the tractors and everything are steering themselves up and down the field using GPS, RTK farming, which basically means that the satellite is giving it direction, and then it needs a correction signal, which RTK farming does, so it tells it where zero is. Otherwise, as the satellite orbits the Earth, the combines or any machinery which is using the satellite may move slightly over the line of the field through the course of the day. So the zero is then sent to it through the aerial, so it always knows where to be. So that's how we get to drive on the same lines year in, year out, and each operation. So you can see now how dusty it's getting down there, but those guys are, if it wasn't for GPS, we'd be struggling to see what they're doing. And would probably have to stop to unload in these conditions. Otherwise there's the risk of being driven into each other. So we're up on a sort of a hill here. This is called Blackthorns. It's on the back, very close to Dry Drayton. So just over there, there's another dust. So there's a second combine out in that field, which is combining. And then you can see there's Bar Hill over there, and Dry Drayton village there. And then that's one of our farmyards of houses in it, which we either have farm staff in or we rent out. So in the main farm that I showed, where right over there, you can just see in the distance the buildings where we were drilling the oilseed rape. So we stretch from the A428 right back to the A14 here, right from right through the village of Dry Drayton, etc. There's Shamit taking a load back from one of the combines, and this combine here is full. You can just see the chaser ring coming on it. Got an engineer on it because we're having a bit of difficulty with it. So you can now see that another lorry's got into position down the bottom. So we have to build infrastructure effectively to get lorries in and out on these farms, because they can't drive on the soil because they would sink basically and get stuck. So you can see how wet the harvest has been, how deep the ruts are from the spray wheel. So here's a better picture of it before it gets too dusty. The auger out, chaser in coming underneath. See the grain in the top of the tank bubbling up. There you are, grain coming out the auger. You see these pylons. These pylons are a nightmare for farming. Going across the middle of the fields, they get in the way. You've got risk of driving into them, and you constantly have to drive around on four sides. You know, there's a better one there as an example. And they pay us about £2 a pylon a year. It's a disgrace considering what people are paying for electricity. Our electricity bill now for this last year was about £130,000 on the farm. That shot up from what typically would have been costing us about £20,000 a month, then shot up to just over £100,000 in a month. Now that was a serious problem because of course we had to shut down the grain hospital. You know, we couldn't afford over £1 million worth of electricity going on, so we had to shut down. And you know, even though the government brought in a cap, but the opportunities that all of these companies are making money on the back of people is extraordinary. So we had to stop cleaning basically wheat, which we're taking out things like ergot, which I'll show you in the grain hospital. Ergot effectively is a black fungus that grows in the wheat. It's about that so big, but effectively it's organic LSD. And what happened was that when the time when they were the witches, it was the flour was ground up and the people were obviously eating bread, and it was making people a bit crazy, obviously in particular women, so they started burning them at the stake. So we have to clean ergot out because it's basically an organic drug. So I had bags and bags of this stuff stacked up in the yard because someone told me it was worth like £10,000, £12,000 a bag. So I convinced myself I was going to be a millionaire. And then somebody pointed out to me that I'd actually become probably the largest drug dealer effectively in the UK with all this organic LSD. and I was so afraid that was going to be the legacy I would leave the children, but I had to send it all off and have it incinerated. So if you know anybody who wants organic ergot, we've got bags of the stuff. So you guys are taking the harvest off the field from the chaser bins. I was hoping that one of the boys was going to turn up with a chaser bin and show it. So taking about, oh, I can see one there, and I was thought Sean can't be far behind. How many loads you done today?
Today at the moment done 3. This is the 4th one so far.
Was that all?
Yeah.
You had to sleep then?
Yeah.
Okay.
How
many have you done?
That's my 5th one.
5th?
Yeah.
You've definitely been asleep, Andy.
Or
Yeah.
6th one.
I did do a load out this morning too, a load in and a load
Oh,
out.
okay. We're not counting that then.
No.
And then there's Martin there. So
But at least we move forward. That's it. No rain.
I know, makes a big
Hope there
change.
won't be any rain for the weekend.
Yeah, big change.
We'll catch up a little bit.
We need to catch up.
Yeah.
We had 5 combines earlier.
I know.
I'm not sure if they're all running though.
I understand you bought 4 new cases.
Yeah, I heard that. I've heard the rumour, and someone told me, and I said, "Oh, somebody seems to know before I do." Okay, so here's the chaser bin going to fill up Andy. So they come backwards and forwards from the combine, so that no lorries go in the field for any compaction or anything. You see the auger unfolding, so it can reach over the top of the lorries. We've got electric sheets on the lorries. All the lorries are the same, all the trailers are the same, so there's 12, all that look identical. The number plates start with J1 and go up to J12 PXF, PX Farms. See the tank on the front of these tractors, that's got diesel in it, about 1200 litres of diesel, 300 litres of AdBlue, and that's so they can fill up the combines and themselves to keep going for the day. But obviously we're using about 9,000 litres of diesel a day, which is principally probably about £7,500 worth of red diesel, and then we're also using about 350 litres a day of white diesel on the lorries and the pickup trucks, etc. per vehicle. So one for a better word, in crude terms, we're using about nearly 4,000 litres of white diesel a day. So you can see that this will take, it should do this if it goes flat out, which is not quite at the moment, under 3 minutes to load a lorry. And then it'll probably do 1.5 loads into the lorry, then the lorries will go next one, which is these guys here. They'll get into position in the same place and keep the combines running. The name of the game is the combines never stop. The combines are costing about £1,200 an hour to run, so we don't want the combines to stop. Okay, so Glyn's on a Challenger here. We are ploughing. Now ploughing is in the Bible and carried out through medieval times, originally obviously with using ox and then horses. So agricultural terms, ploughing has been happening for as long as human race has really been able to cultivate the land. So effectively what you've got is you've got steel metal boards. When you look at it when it goes past, they are at an odd angle, and they effectively turn the land over like that. So we're going about 12 inches deep, and we're running at 13 inches between the furrow walls to the next one, and we're turning the land over. Now the reason we're doing that is because this particular block of land here has a ryegrass problem. Now ryegrass is almost untreatable, and the problem with ryegrass is it continually can chit year after year, month after month, whereas blackgrass generally chits twice in a season. So we're trying to plough it down, because then in about 7 years the seeds, if we don't turn it back up, will rot in the ground and not be viable. So we've got effectively 600 horsepower on the front here. Manual vessel, 8 furrow, was 9, and yeah, it's turning the soil, as you can see on the boards. Turning the land over, burying it, getting ready to put winter barley in here. And we're going to have to drill this field quite late to try and get the weeds to chit, etc., so that we can get a spray off and try and reduce. It's a numbers game, so try and get it to chit, trying to get it to grow, spray it off, keep doing that, and so on. Okay, so what we've got here is a 12-metre cultivator, which they're doing in front of the plough just to loosen up the soil to make it easier for the plough. You've got Tom up there who's the farm manager, and then you've got Ewan that's on the grease gun. Effectively they're servicing up this machinery, which typically would run about 15 hours a day. And we built this Bowser. It's 9,000 litres of fuel. It's got a service kit in it. It's got high pumps that do 300 litres a minute into the machinery, which takes about 1,000 litres. It's all about the time it takes in trying to reduce that to create more efficiency in operations. It's got the AdBlue in it, etc. And we tow it effectively on a Unimog, which is a high-speed tractor, one for a better word. And that's how we go around and keep all the machinery running. There's another Challenger, which is obviously now in faint colours, another 600 horsepower. We've got 3 of these. So this bit of kit on the back, just to put it into perspective, probably cost you about 150,000 to buy.